Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Stand Tall. It is November 14th, and we're going to dive right into chapter 3 of The Art of War. Verse 3. Thus, the highest form of generalship is to balk the enemy's plans. The next best is to prevent the junction of the enemy's forces. The next in order is to attack the enemy's army in the field. And the worst policy of all is to besiege walled cities. I think walled cities is a great metaphor for either peoples whose guards are up or Goliath companies in competition. Let's go over to an alternate translation and see what Master Sun says in this. Therefore, the superior militarist strikes while schemes are being laid. Interesting. It looks like they really break this up into several. So, wow, this goes on for several pages. Let's break down the first part. The superior militarist strikes while schemes are being laid. Cao says when the opponent is just beginning to plan its strategy, it's easy to strike. Du Yu says just when the opponent is setting up a plan to mobilize its forces, if your army strikes and suppresses them, that is best. Therefore, one of the great warrior emperors said, those who are good at getting rid of trouble are those who take care of it before it arises. Those who are good at overcoming opponents are those who win before there is form. Mei Yaochen says this means winning by intelligence. Wang Qi says it is best to thwart people by intelligent planning. Ho Yongqi says when the enemy begins to plot an attack against you, you first attack them. This is easy. Figure out the direction of the enemy's plans and deploy your forces accordingly, attacking at the outset of their intentions. Zhang Yu noted that some say that what Master Sun was saying here was the best military operation is to attack strategically, meaning to use unusual tactics and secret calculations to seek victory without even battling. I think that's the most important part of the art of war in general, without even battling. This is not a book about how to win war. It's not a book, okay, excuse me. It's not a book about how to fight. It's about how to win without fighting. And that's what we want to do. The next best is to attack alliances. Li Quan says this means attacking when alliances are first established, and Hao says some say this means that when the enemy has already mobilized and is negotiating, strike and overcome them. This is next best. Meng Qi says if you carry on alliances with strong countries, your enemies won't dare plot against you. So Meng Qi takes the alternative version of so this is the next best. So if that's the next best, then it's also good for us to make sure that we're making alliances. Wang Chi says it means if you cannot completely thwart the schemes of the enemy, you should then work on his alliances to try to make them fall apart. Hou Yongqi says what Master Sun says was to attack when you come in contact with the enemy, meaning that when your forces are about to clash, you set up a dummy force to scare them and make them unable to either advance or retreat, and then take advantage of that opportunity to come up and conquer them. Since the neighbors have also helped by this action of yours, the enemy cannot but be isolated and weak. The next best is to attack the army, says Master Sun. Jialin says to be good at successful attack, deploying your forces without a hitch is yet another notch down. Therefore, a great warrior emperor said, one who fights for victory in front of bared blades is not a good general. The lowest is to attack a city. Siege of the city is only done as a last resort. Cao says, when the enemy has called in its resources and is defending a city, to attack them in this condition is the lowest form of military operation. Li Quan says, when you garrison an army in a walled city, the officers get stale and soldiers get lazy. Du Yu says this means that when you attack cities and butcher towns, this is the lowest form of attack because there are many casualties. Very interesting. It is harder to attack people who, have their guard up, and in a sales aspect, it would be harder to sell to somebody who is wary of you, or would be hard for you to sell if you put your walls up around the product. And what I mean by that is like if you learn more about the product and you don't believe in it. Zhang Yu says the siege of cities and butchering of towns not only ages the army and wastes resources, it also has a lot of casualties, so it is the lowest form of attack. When you besiege a city, then your power will be used up in that. So do it only if it is absolutely necessary as a last resort. So I think that's very interesting. The highest form of warfare is to win without lifting a finger. Let's go over to November 14th in the Daily Stoic and see what kind of wisdom we can glean from bringing Eastern warfare philosophy to Western Stoicism. He was sent to prison, but the observation he has suffered evil is an addition coming from you. Epictetus, Discourses 3.8.5b through 6a, from November 14th, entitled You Choose the Outcome. This is a classic Stoic thinking, as you've gathered by now. An event itself is objective. How we describe it, that is unfair, or it's a great calamity, or they did that on purpose, that's on us. Malcolm X, then Malcolm Little, went into prison a criminal, but he left as an educated, religious, and motivated man who would help in the struggle for civil rights. Did he suffer an evil, or did he choose to make his experience a positive one? Acceptance isn't passive. It's the first step in an active process towards self-improvement. Just like with the art of war, we can choose to besiege the city walls or not. We can choose to take the lowest form of war, or we could choose to take the highest form and try to win without attacking, win without wasting resources. So, excuse me, what are we going to do as we stand tall?